Hi everybody, welcome back to Enjoying Retirement. Today we're going to take a walk along the Harbour in downtown Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. We took a trip up there in early June of this year and really enjoyed it. Beautiful little town. But several restaurants on it. This is the Bicycle Thief. We ate there the night before, but notice they gave blankets to the folks there this night. We didn't have one the night before and it was mighty cold. This restaurant wised up a little bit, and they give every table a fire pit. Nonetheless, I think this bridal party was a little bit chilly, but it was June, and that's the season. As you keep walking down the boardwalk, you will come to a food court with a lot of fascinating things to eat here, and it was really enjoyable. Here's Dave's. They're famous for their lobster, and one of the nights we had a lobster roll there, and it was very good. And then here's something called a poutine. I've never heard of a poutine. It looks like something my cholesterol would disagree with, but I asked around, and it is legitimately a Canadian thing. So, being one to experience new things, I decided to take one for the team, and I got the bacon poutine. Basically, it's French fries with a light brown gravy, cheese curds, and a whole lot of bacon on top. And yes, it was good. But no, it did not leave me any room for any of those pastries, though they did look good. Keep walking down the boardwalk, you'll see a few things. Here's a harpist who was set up, playing pretty nicely. Across from him, you can look up back towards the city, and you can see the modern city nearby. This is a beautiful city. Nice, clean, well-kept. I think this is a sculpture of a whale tail, and that just goes to show everybody has a lawyer. Now, one of the things Halifax is famous for was the telegraph. This is Cable Wharf, and that is where I think it was Western Union had their telegraph repair ships as they went from, as the undersea cable went from Halifax all the way across into Europe. And there they would repair, replenish, replace, and do the general upkeep of the cable, linking North America and Europe. Keep going, you'll head into a historic area where they have 7 of the original warehouse buildings from when this was a very active waterfront and dock, and these date back from early 1800s to about 1905. Nowadays, they host various shops and restaurants, and it's quite a fun place and a neat place to walk through. Some really good arts and crafts are displayed in there and for sale. If you keep walking along the boardwalk, it'll eventually end at a casino. But as I was saying, it's a beautiful city, and in my mind, something that maybe many city planners planned on, they just weren't able to keep, but this one did. Very clean, very nice, very safe. Now, here's a piece of art. It took me a while to figure out what it was. At first, I thought it might be a lobster pot or crab traps, but it is a sailboat encased in wire mesh, made out of wire mesh. Very cool. There is one museum, at least one museum that I noticed along the waterfront, and that is the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic. It's only about 10 American dollars to get into, but well worth it, especially if you're into boats. And they are really into models of boats there. Now, one thing I'm always fascinated to look at are lighthouses and the big lights that went in there and how they used various styles and curvatures to make sure that the light was visible for a long time, a long distance. So I love looking at the old lenses that they had. And here's one from their local lighthouse. Here's a French prisoner of war model that was built. And apparently this was quite common for prisoners back in the 1800s to do to pass the time. They would make models of the ships that they had sailed on. This room is very cool with some modern sailboats and historical sailboats, but for my money, the coolest thing in here is an original birch bark canoe. I've read about them, seen some replicas and things like that, but here is an original, and very fascinating. Just incredible skill that went into making those. Next room has a display of the local Mi'kmaq tribe, First Nations people, and you can read about them and some of the things that have happened to them and are presently happening to them before you continue on with the museum. You go upstairs, and they have more models of ships throughout the ages, but what they also have unique upstairs is they have some of the artifacts from the Titanic. Halifax is one of the ports that sent ships out to effect the rescue and recovery of those on the Titanic. So they have quite a bit of display up there. Here's a model of the Titanic, and then we'll see some of the pieces that were recovered or donated after recovery of the Titanic itself. Continuing on upstairs, more displays. This one is about other shipwrecks and some of the techniques that are used to recover items from the shipwreck and to explore them. More model ships at the far end of the building, some of the more modern ones. And if you're into boats and ships, definitely worth a visit if you happen to be there. Though I want to quite make the trip all the way up there just to see these. But if you're there, great thing. Here's a model of a steam engine. Finally, looking down on the room with the sailboats, and that's where the birch bark canoe was. That's where we're going to wrap it up. We really enjoyed the time walking along the harbor. And as always, I am enjoying retirement.